In this video, I'm gonna make mulukhiyah. I have no idea how I am supposed to pronounce this. I also know that it can be written as Mulukhiyah or Molokhiyah or Molokhiyah. My variant is a bastardized halfway point between Lebanese style, which is like a stew, and Egyptian style, which is more like a soup. Every person's take is ultimately personal, mine is no exception. I came up with it by reading several recipes and picking the parts that would suit my situation the best. Now, here is what I am going to use today. Roughly a pound of mulukhiyah leaves. That is arguably the big hard requirement of the dish, seeing as making one without the namesake ingredient would be rather silly. I got this in the frozen food aisle of the Middle Eastern supermarket, but I am aware that it also exists in dried form, which must be soaked and chopped before cooking. I will be using the frozen pre-chopped bag for convenience. I have a couple of chicken legs and thighs, from which I have removed the skins. Grease is good, but leaving the skins on takes it into overkill territory in my opinion, so out they go. You could probably use chicken breasts if you want to, as long as the bones are left on, so that we can obtain a good stock. 2 lamb shanks, totaling about 2 pounds together. In reality, this can be a wild card. I found lamb shanks on special, I love their taste, and lamb is pretty on model with Middle Eastern cuisine, so I like using that. Otherwise, some inexpensive cut of beef or pork or whatever, so long as there are some bones to contribute to the stock and give it an even better flavor. Heck, worst comes to worst, more chicken. 1 basic onion, chopped, with a display onion for scale. Does not matter what kind. Red, white, yellow, Spanish, grab whatever is on hand, and I am sure it will be fine. 1 bay leaf, several twists of the black pepper grinder, and a heaping teaspoon of Lebanese 7-spice mix. You can obtain the mix ready-made at a Middle Eastern supermarket, but I found out recently that it can be reasonably made from scratch. Put together equal parts of ground Jamaican allspice, black pepper, cinnamon, clove, coriander seed, cumin, and nutmeg. There may be small variations on ingredients and proportions, depending on which blog post you read, but this one should get you started quite nicely. A few lemons. One of them will go into the recipe, and the others will be a condiment for later on. Lastly, the ingredients for the final garnish, which will be made of garlic, coriander seeds, salt, and a dash of olive oil. I will go into detail for these when the time comes. This is a 10-inch wide enameled cast iron pot. It will be my vessel of choice for today and will retain heat during the occasional downtimes of the recipe. These things are also practically indestructible, although it appears mine was the unfortunate recipient of some unfair treatment at the bottom in some distant past. In the pot, I will put 4 cups of water, aka 1 liter, aka 1 quart. I will add the spices and the chopped onion. Do not worry, I will scrape the bowl off camera. And give the whole thing a stir so as to break up the spices and really get them soaking like they mean it. The lamb shanks will demand the longest cook time, so I will get started with these first. Visibly, I still have a bit of stirring to do, so I will put the phone down and get it done. Groovy. With my initial ingredients in place, I can turn the heat on. This will gently simmer with the lid on so that I do not lose any moisture. Let's get it started on medium and then dial it down after the water is hot. In the meantime, I clean the bowls I used for my mise en place. ABCs, baby, always be cleaning. The simmer is going a little strong for my taste, so I will turn the heat down further, but otherwise I am ready to start the timer. This will cook for 2 hours before the next phase, and I will check back on the dish every 30 minutes or so to make sure that I do have a gentle simmer and not a nuclear meltdown. After 2 hours, the lamb shanks look well on their way, but they still have a bit more cooking to do. However, now is the time to add in the chicken. I will move the lamb out for a minute so I can more easily put the chicken in there without making a mess. I can get the lamb back in there and this will cook for yet another hour. 1 hour later, I have the lamb shanks that are splitting at the seams, and my chicken is most definitely cooked down there. I will move this off the heat, take the meat and poultry out, and get to deboning all of this. The idea of cooking the pieces for so long is that it will make the deboning process very easy, with the meat practically falling off the bones without much resistance. Before I debone, I will deal with the mulukhiyah leaves. They naturally have a slimy texture to them, which I am not very fond of. This is where the lemon comes in. I have juiced and quartered it, threw it all into the bowl, and I will add a generous amount of hot water. I will stir to undo most of the clumps, and this will sit on the side while I debone the meat. Roughly 20 minutes should do the trick. I have deboned my meat right on time. Oops, Mr. Spot. And I will put this all back into the pot. The bones can be thrown away. When it comes to the lamb, I have tried to get rid of the more egregious globs of fat whenever I could help it, but overall, this process can be done somewhat fast and loose. Now, to check on the soaked mulukhiyah leaves. I have already removed the lemon quarters. I will pour the bowl's contents into a sieve, and that will take out a large portion of the slime. By the way, if you actually enjoy the texture, then by all means, skip that step. The slime is not harmful, it is just gooey. I will wait until most of the liquid has drained out before I put this into the pot. I have already put the meat back in, and I have the leaves right next to me. They like to stick together after this, so all I need to do is drop them in, and I can scrape the rest down with a spoon off camera. It is done, and I have stirred the dish until everything looks evenly distributed. By the way, I learned only recently that people sometimes add chopped cilantro as well as mulukhiyah into the dish. Maybe I will try that next time. But for today, no cilantro. I will turn the heat back on and resume the simmer for 30 minutes. While that is going on, I can prepare the taleya, that is, the final garnish. I have between 4 and 6 garlic cloves. I like garlic, so I went full blast on these. And I have my handy garlic crusher to simplify my life. I have a teaspoon of coriander seeds. I will grind them using the cutest mortar and pestle in the world. And I have a teaspoon of salt. I will mash all of these ingredients into the bowl until I have a nice paste. The taleya is going to lightly fry into my olive oil, which is heating up as I speak. The dish is bubbling along nicely in the meantime. I have about 5 minutes left on the 30-minute timer from before, and I am seeking to add the taleya to the dish once the timer reaches 0. I will stir the taleya around off camera in a manner that is more productive than what is shown here. I am shooting for a golden color and a nice fragrance, but if in doubt, cook less. I find that if the garlic gets too roasted, it does not taste as good in the dish. I have already added in the taleya, stirred things around, and tasted for seasoning. The dish needed another half teaspoon and some change of salt. I also have 1 cup of rice cooking on the side. I got it started just a minute ago. I am using basic bog standard Uncle Ben's for this. Rice is not the star of the show. The dish itself is going to cook for another 10 minutes. With everything cooked, I have served the dish onto a bed of rice, which I left sticking out here for display. This yields 4 generous portions, or 6 reasonable portions if you are the sort to entertain appetizers and desserts. It is common to put pieces of toasted pita bread on top, but I skip over that since I do not usually have bread lying around. Naturally, before I forget, I must go for the Instagram close-up as is tradition. Last but not least, my condiment. The juice of half a lemon will do for me, something between a half and 3/4 ounce, but people also use wine vinegar or pickled minced onion. The acid will tie the dish together and brighten it up significantly. With that, I have a nourishing and satisfying meal that is bursting with flavor. I really should take out the bay leaf.